Hello and welcome to the More Cheese Less Whiskers podcast. My name is Dean Jackson, and today we're talking with Lawrence Neal. And we had a great conversation. Lawrence is calling from Ireland, where he helps personal trainers grow their business. He's got a nice membership community. And we talked about the difference between growing something organically and growing something with paid advertising, and the velocity that you can gain, and the just access to more volume. And so we talked about how to safely do that in a way that is helping you figure out what's the right way to get people on board, and some different philosophies about how to approach people trying something on a free trial basis. And I think if you're in that kind of situation, wondering about that, I think you're going to enjoy this episode. So here we go. Lawrence Neal.
Hello, Dean.
How are you?
I am very well. How are you?
I'm awesome. Where are you calling from?
I am calling you from Galway in Ireland, but I'm originally from the UK.
Nice. Okay. All the way across the pond. It's amazing, isn't it? Technology, how we can be connected just like this. So good.
Very, absolutely. Yeah.
So tell me what's been going on and what we're going to focus on here today.
Yeah, so I thought I'd just give you some context first.
Sure.
So obviously big fan of you and your work, and came to know you through James Shremko, because
great.
I'm actually part of a super fast business.
Oh, nice.
And so I'm part of his membership and have listened to some of the podcasts that you and James have been doing together. You know, the series that you guys do, which I always really
know.
look
Yes.
forward
Our we're 5 years into the 25-year podcast now, so that's great.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed those because it's just two brilliant online marketers just shooting the shit. And sorry, can I swear on this, or is it not really? It's a PG store.
No, yeah, you can say, we can talk about whatever you want.
Okay. So I was obviously really inspired by that. And it's funny, I was feeling very unsure about my business direction a few weeks ago, and I actually feel a lot more organized and focused now, and James has really helped with that. And probably a lot I can talk to you about and would really value your input on.
Awesome.
So if I just give you a bit of background on my business, and we can kind of go from there.
That sounds perfect. Yeah. Yes.
Cool. So I developed a passion for a niche within fitness called high intensity training about 6 or 7 years ago. And before that, I'd always been passionate about trying to build some kind of online business. I had a technology salesperson for a long time, but I was never really overly passionate about it. Same old story, and really wanted to build my own business, and got really into this niche in fitness, and then started to blog about it, started to interview people within the industry who are well known, and really being the first to do that within high intensity training. And this was before really podcasts were popular, and now obviously it's huge. And basically that started off just being a passion project, just being like, okay, I'm going to create this online content about high intensity training. And as I was doing it, I was obviously growing an audience. I just loved the fact that I could interview someone and I would create the content. They would then share it with their audience. And more often than not, in the beginning, they had a much bigger audience than me. So it was like a way of kind of growth hacking this content and my following. And all the while I'm thinking, how am I gonna monetize this eventually? Like, I'd love to do this stuff full time. And trying to keep this quite succinct, but I have obviously a passion for business as well. And what I noticed is there was no one really serving the business operators and owners within high intensity training. So there's a lot of people that run personal training studios that really specialize in this. And so I started to build a lot of relationships with these people because I'd get emails and good feedback. So I started creating more business-centric content. And then fast forward a few years, the podcast grew rapidly. I got it up to sort of 25, 30,000 downloads per month. And I started to see how I could really help these business owners and perhaps start to target them with relevant offers. And eventually, job about 2.5 years ago, I moved to Ireland with my fiance. My fiance is Irish, so she kind of took me over here. And I saw that as an opportunity because my cost of living shrunk dramatically because I was living in London previous.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And I had all these I had all these savings from my sales career, and I thought, you know what, I can use this as a cushion and use this to help me really start.
Really go after your passion now.
The only way I would but the only way I was making money in the beginning was sponsors, which doesn't really work very well. I found for me, it wasn't really a reliable or it wasn't really enough income to provide a living. And so I had to pivot, and I pivoted a whole bunch of times. And then eventually I landed on this idea of creating inspired to do it, kind of like he's done it. And I flew to an event in America where all my community and my niche hang out. And I just ran it past 10 people, and 9 out of 10 said, hell yeah, I'd join that. And then I came home and I invested in, I might have invested in before, I can't remember, but I invested in Superfast Business. James was instrumental in helping me build the membership. And basically, in a nutshell, I've but in a high intensity business context. Not quite as good as he's done it, but I'm a work in progress. And that's gone really well. It's a 1.5 years old. I've got about 61 members. Obviously, it's B2B. It's generating, a middle 5-figure income, and it's slowly growing. But I'm under a fair bit of pressure, Dean. I've just had a baby who's 8 weeks old, and I'm now effectively sole provider, aside from a bit of maternity compensation we get. And so I'm under I'm under a bit of pressure to obviously grow this business and make it more successful. And my goal at the end of this year is to really break the sort of 6-figure barrier in annual revenue. And so that's a bit of background. And I'd say,
how much do you charge? How much is the membership that you're offering?
So it's currently $79 per month per user. I started at $47, and I kind of I've been hiking it up over time. Okay.
And what do they?
Go on.
What do you provide? What kind of what's involved in the membership that you're offering?
The primary offerings are community, and so it's a private community, much like SFB, of business owners in this particular niche, where they can communicate with one another privately and feel safe in this tight community, and help one another and build connections. Secondly, there's content which is focused on helping people grow their high intensity training business. So I have categories for generating leads, converting sales, hiring, motivate a team. And I should say this, I've not actually built a personal training studio myself. And so I've always had a little bit of imposter syndrome going on in the background. But what I've done is because of the podcast, I've built this incredible network. And so what I've done is I've collaborated with the best in my industry to create that content and publish that within the membership. And so you've got those resources. And they're like, 20-minute, 30-minute podcasts and PDF transcripts for each one, that kind of thing. I don't yet do like video / slideshow content like James does. I'm thinking about doing that. And then I guess the third there's four pillars really, and the third one is monthly Q&As. So I bring on an expert. So every month it will alternate. So it will be business one month and then personal training techniques the next, and it will repeat like that. And I'll just get someone on who's an expert in that, in our niche, in those one of those fields, and then do a 1 hour Q&A for members. And then the fourth one is private coaching with me. And even though I haven't built my own studio yet, I will be. That's another conversation. I've got so many data points at this point. So yeah.
How long do people stay when they join?
Yeah. Do you know what? I don't know the rough length of time. I just know my churn percentage. So I don't know.
So what's that? That'd be the same thing. Let's talk about that. What do you have? Is it relatively sticky that they stay and stay and stay, or is it that they come in and you're churning quite a bit?
No, the churn's been really low. I had it from the get-go. It's been quite good. It's been the first year, it was around 2% for the whole year. And then start of 2020, I had quite a few cancellations, and it's kind of risen to around 4.5%.
And I guess it's small as it's pretty small numbers to get the big number. If you're at 61 members, that's going to be, it's one person leaving is a pretty significant number in churn compared to having bigger numbers, right? Yeah. So
exactly, and it was quite stressful in the beginning. When the start of this year, I should say, it was quite stressful. Yeah,
I got it. And how long have you been doing it? How long is the oldest member?
So I started the membership May 2018. So since then,
18 months or so, about almost a little bit more, coming up on 2 years, right? Okay. And what? Where do you see the opportunity that you have? Feels like you could, do you have an engine for acquiring new members, and how, do you have particularly a, slot machine type of, or a vending machine type of system where you can put money in the top and deliver new members? How much does it cost you to acquire a new member?
Yeah, really good question. So just in the beginning, and it's quite funny because I was reading your scorecard, I was filling that out, and one of the sections really described how I used to do things, which is I used to manually prospect because I got a background in sales. I'm not scared to get on the phone, and I actually acquired, about 50% of my members through just Facebook DMs, Instagram DMs, direct emails. Cold calling in some cases, and obviously I had a network already, and so I first, I pitched to people I knew I had best relationships with. However, I've always obviously been determined to build a machine to help drive sales for me, because I don't want to be having to manually prospect.
Well, it's the only way you can really predict. Yeah, that's it's the way that's really what you need to give yourself predictability and some sense of calm around it, that that you're on the right track. So right now that's been your most reliable thing. Do you have anything in place that would be where you're buying a new member? So you say, are you running any Facebook ads or any sort of lead generation that is leading into membership?
Yeah, so I'm not doing any paid advertising. I've actually never done any paid marketing at all. My sales funnel at the moment is my podcast, and I've done 250 episodes so far over the last few years. And it's very similar to James's, and I say that because I assume you probably know his sales funnel very well. In that it's I create podcasts weekly, one podcast a week at the moment, and I promote that over all my different platforms. I don't have a huge following, maybe 1,000 likes on my Facebook page, things like that. But each episode will get around 1,000 downloads. And then I have a call to action. So I'm driving all these people back to my blog, back to the blog post for the podcast. And then I have a call to action link in every blog post that says, something contextual to the episode, like, proven systems to build your high intensity training business inside HIT Business Membership, and then a link straight to the sales page. And the sales page converts currently at 12%. And then the car, I think, converts at like 8.2%. But the problem I think I was having, Dean, is I really have been relying on the podcast to be my main traffic source for a long, long time.
Yeah, and there's the challenge, right? Like, I look at it that the challenge or the podcast, the role of the podcast, if we're overlaying the 8 profit activators that we talk about on this, that the podcast is a profit activator 3 vehicle. It's a educate and motivate tool. And I use it more for lead conversion than for lead generation, because my model is very podcast heavy as well. But I'm using the podcast as a long-term lead conversion tool as opposed to a lead generation tool. It's a very unpredictable lead generation tool. So I do front-end advertising, like Profit Activator number 2 is about getting people to raise their hand. So I separate the two. Right. Now, when you look at it, how many opt-ins are you generating each week from your the methods that you're using right now? How quickly is your list of new prospects growing?
Are you talking about my email list opt-ins?
Yeah, your email list.
Yeah. So I've just started really over the last few weeks making sure that I'm transcribing every podcast and then putting a lead magnet on each post. And I'm getting in the region of, in fact, I can just check because I do the whole traction thing, the EOS scorecard. That's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm just going to bring that up. So, I'm getting an average around 10 emails a week at the moment.
Okay. Right. So when you look at that, that's a pretty, that's a low volume list building strategy, right? Like you don't feel as predictable in that. It's less, it's roughly 1% of your audience kind of thing, right? So 1,000 people are listening to the podcast and you get 10 people who come and opt in, hopefully opting in for the first time. Now that, it is what it is, but that's 500 people a year. That's not that high volume, right? So when you look at the economics of it, if your membership is at $79 a month, they're going to spend, $860 a year with you or so, right? That you look at your the predictability of how much could you afford to pay to get somebody to join your list kind of thing, that you then convert them into your into membership. This is what it all comes down to. If you look at it, that if you were to say, let's say roughly $79 a month, let's just do the math. Do you offer a free trial of your membership, or for people to come in and see what it's about, or you are going the other way and offering, a wait
Well,
list?
I've just done. There's a free trial. I've just done a joint venture with an authority in my niche, and I'm doing a free trial there. So they're because it's like the benefit that authority is giving to their audience, and it's a 30-day free trial and a membership, and obviously the hope that then they stay and it converts to the next month. But I don't do a free trial normally, and the reason for that is I was concerned that would a free trial attract the right customer. But it's something I haven't really tested until now.
You've got to select. See, part of the thing is that you do the selecting early on. You do the selecting by how people are opting in. So you're not just talking about strangers. We're talking about you've selected the right audience to invite to the free trial, right? So let's just do some rough numbers here. Like if you were to say, and this is completely reasonable, that if you were to say, let's say you invite 100 people to take a free trial, and 20 of them convert to a paid membership. You convert at 20%, let's say, right? That if you take those numbers, if you generate 100 opt-ins, let's take it as a cohort here of 100 people. So you were to generate 100 opt-ins, and you were to get 20% of them to take you up on a free trial offer, and then you were able to get 20% of the people who took the free trial to convert to a paid membership after 30 days or whatever it is. If you put some numbers to the math of that, if you got 100 opt-ins, 20 free trials, and 4 paid memberships, that would be a $320 first month membership, first month pay, right? So that group would be worth $320 in 30 days, and they would be worth, let's call it $3,000 over the next 12 months. See how I did that math on that?
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay. Yeah. So now we back into that and say, if you were willing to break even, on your first month, say that if you could get opt-ins for $3 roughly, you would have invested $300 to get 100 opt-ins, and you invite those people to take a free trial, and you get 20 of them to take a free trial. And of the people who take the free trial, 20% take you up on it and convert to paying members. You would then collect 79 times 3, so $320, right, over the times 4 in 30 days from now. That's a reasonable. That's a reasonable hypothesis for you to work from, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those are reasonable numbers. I mean, that's what I'm talking about as a free trial is a truly free, no credit card required kind of trial. So it's a opt-in trial, not a opt-out trial, where you may get higher conversion numbers on an opt-out trial, meaning give me your credit card and try for $1, and then I'm going to bill you $79 a month if you don't cancel. That's a different psychology and a different vibe than come on in, no credit card required, take a look around, see what what this is about. And then your job becomes to create a 30-day experience that gets people embedded into this world that they couldn't think of leaving. They wouldn't think of leaving, of getting by without it. That would become the goal of it,
Yeah. That's a really good idea.
Right, and those are pretty reasonable numbers, right? And if you say that you're willing to wait 60 days or 90 days to recoup your money, you're now, in that you could spend $6 or $10 for an opt-in and go through the same thing that you're spending let's say you spend $600 to get 100 of the right opt-ins, and you invite and get 20% of them to take the free trial and 20% of those to convert, you're way ahead. And then, of course, the goal then is to get better at all of those numbers. What if you could get 50% of them to convert?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
how would
you've got to start experimenting like that. You've got to start you in order for it to truly grow substantially, you need to be able to control the inputs, right? You need to be able to say you can fill more people in at the top rather than just kind of unpredictably just put out more podcasts, especially as you're growing, right?
Yeah. Well, how would you go about the paying subscribers? Like what methods are best for that in this context?
What do you mean? What method is best to get them to pay?
Well, no, sorry. I mean, you talked about, paying for leads.
Opt-ins? Yeah.
Opt-ins.
So do you have anything right now that gets people to opt in?
Well, at the moment, it's the podcast episodes or the PDF transcripts. That's the way I do that.
So, do you have a book, or like the best thing that I use for opt-ins in any thing that we do is a book. And so I'll give you the perfect example. So I have a membership program called Go Agent, which is a membership and tools for real estate agents. And it's also $79 a month. And we have one called Go Clients, which is for entrepreneurs, $79 a month. Now, on the real estate side, I have a book called Getting Listings, because I know that that's what real estate agents want, right? The outcome that they want is they want to know how to get listings, get people to hire them to help them sell their house. And so when I offer the book, I get opt-ins for $2.20 or $2.50. And I can get as many of them as I want. I can spend, you can predictably spend money and know that every time I spend $2,500, I'm going to get 1,000 opt-ins. Right, and that's a predictable way to grow. Now, the good news is that you're going to continue to do your podcast, and you're going to continue to educate and motivate people. But you are, I have a podcast called The Listing Agent Lifestyle, and that is, week after week, I'm helping new other real estate agents grow their business applying the principles that we have in the Listing Agent Lifestyle book.
Right. Right.
So what would be the thing that your audience really wants? What would be like the title of a book that they would just love to have? If there was such a book, they would order it up.
Yeah, it would definitely be something to do about getting more clients, getting more, more personal training clients. It's the most common challenge in a personal training business is working out how to drive more people through the door. So not sure what the absolute dream title would be. I'd have to think about it, but something about getting more clients.
Well, there's the thing, and this is part of the thing, is getting the title right is 80% of the success of a book project, right? Like this is what's amazing about it, is that now the funny thing is that all the since we went to e-readers like Kindles and Kobos and all that kind of stuff, there was a big article in the New York Times about the state of book readership. And what they found was pretty fascinating. They said that 58% of books that are bought are never opened.
Wow.
Now, isn't that interesting? And I say that to a group of people, and everybody's like mouth drops open. And then you ask them, have you ever bought a book and never opened it? And everybody has, right? I mean, you've got a book, you've got a whole, I've heard it called your shelf help section, that you put this up on the shelf and it's supposed to help you, but you haven't opened the book, So everybody has those books because there's something about the fact that we can take action now by buying a book and feeling like we've taken some action to move forward on our goals or our hopes or dreams, right? That I took action. I got that book. Now, what we do to trigger that, what we do to get people to raise their hand like that, how we trigger that desire is with the title of the book. So when you look at this, that we've got basic book title formulas that we follow that are based on what are the most successful books. Like if you say we've got a book title formula called Name It and Claim It. And if you look at that's the title of a book that says exactly what it is that you want. So if a book like The 4-Hour Work Week is a Name It and Claim It title, they're like, oh, I want that. And you would get that, right? And my book is, Getting Listings. Oh, I want that. Dave Ramsey here in the U.S. has a book called Financial Peace, which if you are someone who's in financial turmoil, if you see a book called Financial Peace, it almost feels like just holding it in your hand is going to lower your blood pressure. Right? You feel like that's moving towards the thing that you want. Now, there's another, other book formulas, but one next to that is what we call Just Do It titles, which are things like Think and Grow Rich. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to think and grow rich. Or I've written a book called Stop Your Divorce. And that's something that they're going to say, yes, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop my divorce. And then there's How To. That's another formula, which is, I think, the most, winningest kind of formula, because you can use that in conjunction with one of the other book title formulas, but you can't use the words how to without filling in some kind of transformational benefit. And that's where you get things like How to Win Friends and Influence People. Is a great book title, right? Like it does overtly what it says on the the tin. So our how-to for getting listings is how to get listings in any market you want without a single phone call or spending a fortune on direct mail. That amplifies the benefit that we have, right? So I know for my audience, I run that book and they want that. So they respond. Now I've identified a real estate agent who's interested in getting listings because they downloaded a book called Getting Listings. And now I can start educating them about all the ways that I can help them get listings. So if you think about that for you, what would be the thing that you can help these personal trainers with that is going to benefit them in a way that would be very desirable to them?
And we're going to do that now, yeah? So you're asking me that now.
What's your, what do you do that helps people? What's the best thing that you do? Often we end up, you've got this whole suite of things, these methods, the knowledge that you have that we're keeping hidden behind this wall, this membership wall. But we need to let people know what you can actually do for them. And I'm sure that in your podcast, you share some of those things freely, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the main thing would be getting and retaining clients. So getting and keeping clients. I don't know how
what's one way that you do that? Give me a specific that if you were, if I tasked you with, delivered one personal trainer to you right here in Winter Haven, and we brought him on the phone here, what would be the one thing that that they could do to get a new client?
A quality workout. So a lot of people in the industry are obsessed with marketing tactics, the paid advertising, when really they need to look at the actual service and actually refine the quality of the workout and the whole client experience, because that's going to generate referrals because they're going to remark about it. And referrals in high intensity training are just everything, because referrals beget more referrals, and they become, they are like the best quality clients. They're likely to stay long term. And so I know because sorry, go on. Do you encourage your clients to have their clients refer somebody for a free workout? Kind of. That is one tactic we talk about. We talk about things like gift cards, but I'd say that's very secondary to just, I interviewed one of my clients. So I interviewed one of their trainees, and she's one of their best clients. She's been with this particular training company for 13 years, and she's referred over 100 clients to them, and that's because she's so blown away by her experience every time she has a workout, and how hard they push her, and their customer service experience, and so she's brought in a lot of referrals, and she's their target market. She's a high-powered lawyer, and they tend to, they're positioned at a premium level, and they target, high-powered lawyers, executives who have a higher income, and their pricing and such services positioned in that way. So she's a perfect client, and she's referring all these high-quality clients to them who probably beget even more referrals. So it's like a compounding effect.
Right.
And I think that's overlooked in high-intensity training. I think people are too obsessed with what paid advertising, what copy do I need in order to drive more people through the door. So
right.
Yeah.
And the thing with the personal training, especially if you're doing is it one-on-one type of training that they're doing? Or
yes, it's generally one-on-one strength training, and sometimes groups, but it's very the supervision is a big element of it. Yeah.
So there's definitely a situation where they would have a full practice or a full, full roster of clients that then they don't need many because they only have so many slots available.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think, when you look at when you look at this, if you've got a way that you could, or a method or a something that you could introduce people to that would be compelling to them, that would get them to raise their hand, you just need to be able to get their attention. How big is your list right now?
About 1,100.
Okay. So, so part of that is that we just need to make your pond bigger, you need to get your reach bigger.
Yeah. But I'm just, do you know what one concern I have is, maybe this is just about getting the title of the book right, but when the problem is sometimes when you say to business owners in this industry, you need to get better at the workout or the service, they kind of roll their eyes a little bit. There's a bit of arrogance in high intensity training where a lot of the business owners and operators have been doing this for decades, so they feel like they're very good trainers, and they probably are. But it does seem that they would be better served if they actually did refine the workout and ensure that all of their staff carried it out consistently to generate these referrals. So my concern is if I have a title of a book that says something to the effect of how to deliver workouts that drive referrals like crazy or something, that they might look at that and be like, well, I don't want that. I want the marketing tactic, the magic bullet, So that's one thing that came up for me. I don't know. I'd be curious your thoughts on that.
Well, so much of the title, you can talk about the benefit without talking about the mechanism right now.
Right.
Like I'm not talking about, like when in getting listings, I'm not talking about the mechanism. I'm talking about the outcome, the benefit. That's what they want. So once they opt in, now I'm sharing about the mechanism.
Right. So what do you think? Could it be as simple as how to drive referrals or how to get referrals?
It could be. Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. This is the other thing. I guess we're talking about, I don't know what platforms you would advertise on, but let's say Facebook for argument's sake. Would you have to then, obviously you can target the exact demographic you want and the psychographics and stuff, which is great. But then I want to try and obviously appeal to, I guess I would just select, this is where I guess my advertising knowledge isn't great. So I guess I would just select those that are interested in high intensity training, because I don't want to necessarily try and pull in, because my stuff won't really necessarily appeal to a generic personal trainer who doesn't understand this particular niche within fitness, because it is very niche. So I just need to make sure I don't think whatever title I do, I don't know. Maybe that.
Well, who would be? See, part of it is that you can select the audience of specifically the people that you want. Is there a particular what would be an indicator that they're your audience? Like if you were to, is there a particular page or association or something that they would be interested in that you could target people who follow this person or this organization or this association or?
Yes, yeah. I mean, first thing that comes to mind is there's particular Facebook groups. There's only a few. Well, there's probably like 10 actually, where if people were members of those groups, then they would be ideally placed to target.
And so the groups are a little bit difficult in that they aren't typically targetable as Facebook if they're private groups, right? So, but are there pages associated with those people that they might like something so that you know that that's what they do? Or is there some way that they identify themselves as, personal trainers in their occupation? However you would find them.
Possibly. I think the problem with the occupation is there'd be very broad then. It'd be a lot of generic sort of personal trainers. But your first suggestion would definitely work in terms of, I know a number of pages that, they might like, and I could then obviously target people that like specific pages.
Yeah. Perfect. So that's fine. So that gives you an opportunity now to get your message in front of the right people. And so if you're targeting people who you know or suspect at the highest level are high intensity personal trainers, that you've got now the opportunity to offer them a book. And it would be a big win if you could get them to raise their hand for, $2, $3, $5, even, whatever the lowest amount that you can get would be. That would be a big win.
Yeah, and then you'd have a follow-up sequence, email sequence on those that opt in for the ebook, right, to sell the membership.
That's right.
Or yeah, okay. Would you still continue advocating that I do what I'm currently doing in terms of the podcast and the transcripts and everything? Because that does seem to.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. Like that's a big thing. I do podcasts every week. And the way that we're doing it, like my model for the podcast here, is that each week is a new business owner that we're applying the 8 profit activators to your business. This whole thing is like, essentially a real consultation. This is no different than the conversation we would be having if you were paying me $2,500 for a consultation. I'm giving you the best advice that I know right now, and then everybody listening is extrapolating from that how that might apply to them.
Yeah, and I'm most grateful for the opportunity. Do you know one thing? A couple of things, if you don't mind, Dean, I just want to run by you as well. Is let's take the next step, right? So if I were to then start doing paid advertising, you're famous for who, not how. I'm only with affiliate and which is on top of the membership, I probably generate a sort of a mid 5-figure income. So I'm at that stage where it can be quite hard for me to outsource too much. I have to do some of the stuff myself. Mm-hmm. And I think, because I hear you and James talk a lot about who, not how, and but I feel like that's because you guys are often operating at, the 6-figure plus level, and in a lot of cases, million plus. So do you think that at my level, it's perfectly fine for me to be on the tools in some cases, because quite frankly, I don't generate enough revenue to outsource all these things. So right. I would have to perhaps learn how to do the Facebook ads, for instance.
Mm-hmm. Well, part of the thing is, and there's nothing wrong with that in the beginning, that you've got time, right? That's the asset that you have. And so, we look at it that we want to do it in a way that once you figure out what works and how to do it, that you can replace yourself with someone else, right? So if you're saying, and you can start at any level too with it. You don't have to spend $100 a day or $1,000 a day on ads. You could start with $20 a day, or something that would be manageable. Let's say that you start generating, instead of 10 opt-ins a week. Let's target that you could get 10 opt-ins a day and start to engage with those people. Like, take a more conversational, one-to-one approach to welcoming them. Imagine, this is what I say about the book, is that imagine if you had that your opt-in page or the lead ad that you use on Facebook, it's very easy to set up. All people have to do is, press the button and it carries their name and email into the form for you. So they just press submit to or download to send you their information to get the book. Now, imagine the title of your book is, just for lack of a better thing, how to get 3 new clients in the next 7 days for your personal training business. That's a good outcome for somebody, right? So you offer that as a book, and they see that come across their news feed. They say, oh, I want that book. And then they press submit, and imagine that is a magic portal that delivers them to your front door. They poke their head in the door and say, hey, I'm here about how to get 3 new clients for your personal training business this week. Now, what would you have as a conversation with those people? How would you engage with one person at a time like that? Because now, what might you say to somebody who asks for the book like that? If somebody literally knocked on your door to your studio and came in and said, hey, I'm here about the book, how would you imagine that conversation going?
I would imagine it. I would ask, because I kind of am doing this I was doing this on the phone when manually prospecting. I'd be asking about their business. I'd be saying, well, tell me more about your business. What are you struggling with? What are your challenges? What are your goals?
Maybe you start out with an easy question, and you ask them an either or question, which is very easy for people to reply to. If you said, do you work with people one-on-one or do you work with groups? That might be a good opening question, right? To get people to engage. And as they're engaging, maybe you lead everybody to do you ever do, your method right now is to talk to them one-on-one. So you could lead that into, what if 10 people a day are coming into your email by asking for the book, and let's say you're spending $50 a day on that, and you only do it, on the days that you say you're going to test this out for 10 days, let's say. So you're going to allocate $500 for this. And over those 10 days, you're going to aim to get 100 new opt-ins. And you see who among those 100 individuals, this is the thing when you're doing it at this level, you get the opportunity to pay personal attention to them. You're not just treating them as numbers and shuttling them through a funnel that's going to yield whatever it is. You treat them as individuals, right? You start to see and treat them like a real person. And I love the idea. Do you know who Jordan Peterson is? Yeah,
very well. I love his work.
Me too. So, one of the things that I've been thinking about and using as a frame, one of Jordan Peterson's rules is to treat yourself like you're someone you're responsible for helping, right? And I've been taking that and transferring that to prospects. So imagine if you treated the person that downloads the book as someone that you're responsible for helping. How would that change the dynamic of the interaction that you have with them? You're starting to think you're coming at it with a real empathy kind of situation, right? It's kind of an empathy activator for yourself. And you start to think, if I was responsible for helping this person, how would I approach it? Knowing that they don't know what you know, and they don't know, they're dealing with the frustrations that they have. Typically what those frustrations are, because you've worked with enough of them to know the things they run into and the things that they struggle with, and that by and large, it's right that they're all very good at what they do, mostly, right? They're able to get results for people. And if they are, that they think that that's enough, right? They think that being really good is enough to grow their business. But it's just like the situation that you're in right now, right? Like you're the model that you're using, you're really good at serving people in your membership group and on your podcast, but at 10 new opt-ins a week, you're not getting the opportunity to help as many people. You've got this fire hydrant of capability that you could serve and just unleash for people, but you're forced to meter it out through this garden hose of 10 people a week that you come in contact with being able to help.
I guess I also thought that, because it's just embarrassing to admit, Dean, but, and as I said on my Profit Activator scorecard, I did have a lot of automations going on in terms of sales sequences and cart and page abandonment, but they weren't as authentic as I wanted them to be, and I felt like I just needed to reset, so I switched them all off. And so maybe I need to create those, because currently if someone opts in, they just get an offer once a week, which is my weekly podcast email, and then there's your super signature at the bottom, the PS, and that's where there's a call to action there, but that's the extent of it. And I guess in my head I thought, enough people come to the website, they'll click the link and then go to the sales page and buy. But you're saying that's probably a bad strategy to rely on that organic traffic.
Yeah, I think you could optimize it by reaching out to individuals, like reaching out and connecting with people in a dialogue kind of way.
Yeah, and I love doing that. When I get, when I send someone an email, right? When they get an automated email and they reply and it goes into my personal and I start that dialogue, that's great, because
right, now you're going to be able to help someone, right?
Yeah,
and you may want a scorecard of your own. You may want a scorecard that's helpful for you to, like, you can see after having gone through my scorecard, you can see the awareness that builds, right? Just from seeing, there's the opportunity right there, that you could see how you're able to help people just by interpreting their scorecard.
Yeah. So would you still have that initial email they get? Let's say they download the ebook and you'd still automate that. You still have a sequence. You'd still automate that. You wouldn't. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I would automate it in that when somebody, the biggest opportunity you have is this first 24 hours with somebody, right? That they've never liked you more than the moment they press send me my book, right? That's the peak of your relationship so far. Now, and they were in the moment, they want that information. So everything that happens from the time that they press the download button or sending you their information, submit, that the book has done its job when that happens, right? That's Profit Activator 2 has worked. It's turned an invisible prospect into a visible prospect. And now immediately we're into Profit Activator 3, where the job is to identify the 5-star prospects and educate and motivate people so that whenever it's now, they're ready to take the next step. Now, not everybody's going to be ready to do something now, right? Most people, if we take it that our come from on lead conversion is that my framework is that my expectation is that half of the people that inquire about anything are going to buy something to help them reach that objective in the next 2 years, and that 50% of them are going to do that, but only 15% of them are going to do it in the first 90 days. So 85% of the value of a bundle of 100 leads that you generate today is going to be 90 days or more away.
Yeah.
And so I treat it like that. That's where the podcast is the most, that's where the podcast is the most valuable, because now that gives you a recurring flagship that is continuing to educate and motivate people. And it gives you a carrier for your super signature. That's the catalyst to then people joining you. Like, you look at where here we are, you and I, how long have you been in my world here in terms of listening to the podcast or on my list?
Not very long, like, I don't know, 6 months, something like that.
Okay. So 6 months at some point. So you've heard other podcasts. You've seen my emails. You get 3 emails a week from me. And at some point, you decided to either to ask to be a guest on the show, and then you filled out the scorecard, and here we are.
Actually, it was a long time before 6 months. I just realized because I was listening to your I Love Marketing podcast for a long time before that. So that's when I first came across you, I think. And that was like over a year ago. But and then obviously listened to your stuff with James, and then saw the opportunity to fill in the form to be on your show, and then that was a no-brainer, really.
Yeah. And that's the same kind of thing that can work for you. That you can do that same. You could do that same thing. We just need to add some zeros. You add a 0 to the number of people that you're reaching right now. So imagine how things would change for you if everything, now we're talking about you, instead of 1,000 people, 10,000 people, instead of 60 members, 600 members. That would be a whole different framework for you, right?
Very much so. Yeah.
And that's, you've got it. And it's certainly a big enough audience that there are enough people that could that you could serve,
Yeah. So have you? I've just noticed. Have you zeroed in on this as being the main constraint for me? Because I noticed we haven't talked at all about retaining people or the quality of the product. Because you feel like that's you feel quite confident.
Yeah, you're not at
my numbers.
You seems like you've got a happy group of people, and that you're focused on the. You've been doing it a year and a half, and you've got people who've stuck around, and it seems like you're confident in the offering that you have. But the number one thing, you're not gonna retain your way to riches with 61 members. You need to expand your way to riches with 600 members, and that's the you need something that adds some velocity to that. And the way to add velocity to it is to find the people first, build the audience, and then use the podcast to educate them and motivate them and expand your relationship with them, so that they get to hear week after week after week all the things, and they start to go, yeah, that Lawrence really knows what he's talking about. I like him. And maybe I'll try his scorecard, or maybe I'll take his free trial of his membership,
Yeah, and you think it makes sense to do a free trial versus a paid straight away option?
Listen, it's just, my whole thing is that it's almost always less expensive to get somebody a result than it is to convince them to give you money to get that result or experience.
Yeah.
Like, if you want them to see what you're about and experience it, and if in that experience you're going to convert 20 or 25 or 30% of them to stay, then it's worth it all day long,
Yeah, when you say the math like that, it does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious, why do you think some people don't do that? I noticed, for instance, we don't necessarily have to comment on James's strategy, but I noticed he doesn't.
That's okay. I love to talk about James's strategy. That's fine. And no,
I admire James a lot. Yeah.
I do too. Listen, James is one of my closest friends. We have a great relationship, and I have the highest level of respect for everything that he's done. And we have really great conversations about these kinds of things, and some of these things, we influence each other on some of the things that we do. So there's nothing wrong with it. So James has a lot of the things that he does are similar, and he may have a philosophical difference on the free trial, and that's okay, But I mean, for most people, he's got an audience already, right? Like, it's difficult to be on both. It's almost like you can't have it both ways, right? It's more difficult to be both. Limiting in the people that you bring in, or positioning that way, and not have a big audience, right? You could be more selective when you've got more people clamoring at the door, right? So, but I think that the fastest way to grow is to get more people that confirmation moment that, yes, this is great. Because if you're going to make a membership program work, you've got to make it so that they would never dream of leaving, right? That it's got to be valuable, that they see and understand and receive the value that your membership is bringing. And that the surest way to do that is to let people experience it, And I don't believe for a second that the people who take a free trial have any less skin in the game, if that's a word that they use, right? Well, if they pay, they've got skin in the game, or people don't appreciate what they don't pay for. It's in mass. That's not true. We're looking at growing the whole numbers. Now, certainly there'll be your retention rate in the first 30 days would be more if people are paying for the to join, right? They've already convinced them to do it, and they're going to pay, and then most of them will, more of them would stay than the people who come in and try. But you get far more people who would be willing to try it. So net at the end of the day, if you're not going to convince more people to pay you the $79 than you would convince the people who you gave the opportunity to experience the first $79 to stay,
Yeah. One last, I know you probably for me to jump off in a sec, Dean.
Yeah.
But I just wanted one last question, really.
Sure.
How would you, at the end of the trial, I mean, obviously we're talking about, like you said, opt-in trial, no credit card.
Right.
They do, and then secondly, how would you engage them at the end of that trial to see if they want to subscribe as a member?
Yep. So part of the thing the way we do it is when people join, on their dashboard, it has a welcome tile. Like on the dashboard, here's the, top left is the first thing they see is welcome to GoGo Agent. And here's the fast start, program. Here's the top things that are going to get them the result. Here's where we recommend starting. But there's also a green button with a days remaining in trial. So it starts out, it's 30 days, 29 days, 27 days, 13 days. So that they see it, and often they are self-select. They go in and upgrade or just activate their membership before the end of the trial.
Right. Okay.
That's the thing. Your job is to create an amazing experience that embraces them, gets them in, gets them involved, gets them on a path of working on a project that's going to last beyond the 30 days. That they're going to say, oh, I got to stay in here. I got to better activate my membership.
And would you, if they didn't upgrade before the end, would you have an automated email that would go out? And if so, what would that say to try and get them to subscribe?
Yeah, well, you could ask them. I mean, you can engage with them and see what was going on.
Right, just ask, how's your membership been, or how's your trial been? ? Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit, you hopefully, right, exactly. Hopefully you would be engaged with them along the line of something that what thing they're working on, so that if you've got something that's going to be an ongoing thing that they're testing or that they're trying, you're not talking about how was your membership, you're talking about how is this project going,
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Cool. All right.
So what's your takeaway? How did all that land? What's kind of your summary notes here, what we talked about?
So firstly, thank you so much. It is very, very valuable. Because I've kind of decided this is kind of, so I had a little bit of a strategy in place already, and I'm sort of going to have to review things. But just something I didn't mention is I'm doing the podcast, and I've talked to you about that whole funnel. But then the other thing I'm doing and just starting to do is the social media short videos that James recommends. And I've just been videoing a whole load of those and sort of working through, how to format those and then get those uploaded to the various platforms. And I quite like that as a format, and another traffic generation thing. So I guess I'm just a little bit like, okay, I need to make time to do that. I still need to do my podcast. I still need to do X, Y, and Z. And now I'm like, okay, I've got to potentially write this book, although I can probably repurpose something I already have. I guess I just feel a little overwhelmed. I feel like the ideas are amazing, but I feel a tiny bit overwhelmed with the tasks, the actions. Maybe when I actually put it all down on paper, it won't seem so bad. But
Yeah, well, I look at the one thing.
Yeah.
The great thing is you're looking for leverage, right? You're looking for leverage where you can do something once that's going to have ongoing legs. Like if you were to put the book together and you get an ad that you can toggle on and off as you want or need, that if you've got a way that on demand you can get opt-ins for, $2 to $5, let's say, that you've got something that's an asset that's leverage for you, right? So now you know that you could turn this on for 10 days and get 100 opt-ins, and you've got a dialogue, a method of conversationally engaging with these people to bring them in. And then you've got a 30-day experience that they go through that 20 or 25 or 30% of them will want to continue. That is a scale-ready algorithm, because then it's going to be self-perpetuating. That's what you really want.
Yeah. So it's just about step by step carving out big blocks of time to just incrementally get there, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I just need to do that. No, that's great. And yeah, I mean, I guess my summary, I think I need to figure out this book title. And then once I come up with a title, look at what I can already repurpose, because I already have a lot of great content. And I think I can repurpose some of that, mash it together, create the ad, learn how to just do the ad on something like Facebook, and then test it, I suppose.
That's it.
I guess I would have to create an opt-in page as well, probably for the.
No, you don't even have to do that, because you've got we use lead ads on Facebook, so you don't even need a landing page. Right.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Okay, so I have that, and then it's just about having a basic sales sequence, which treats it like as if they're knocking on my door, like you explained.
Right.
I think it's just that authenticity is so important, isn't it? And to try and start a conversation, try and understand more about their needs, and
that's right.
And then also they would go into my podcast weekly update as well.
That's right.
And that's it, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's what you're already doing. That you're already doing the podcast. You're already doing all the right moves there. So let's just the fastest thing that's going to increase your reach is let's get to 2,000 subscribers, and let's get to 5,000 subscribers. And then just watch how it all happens.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Well, it's been delightful.
Likewise, I really appreciate it. This is not what I expected.
Time flies, doesn't it? This went by fast.
It does, yes.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Dean, for taking the time. This has been so valuable to me. So really appreciate it.
Well, stay connected and reach out and let me know how it's going, because I want to keep seeing how it all works out.
Definitely, I'll keep you posted.
Okay. Thanks, Lawrence.
All right. Cheers, Dean. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye. And there we have it. Another great episode. Thanks for listening in. If you want to continue the conversation, we'll go deeper in how the 8 profit activators can apply to your business. 2 things you can do. Right now, you can go to morecheeselesswhiskers.com and you can download a copy of the More Cheese Less Whiskers book, and you can listen to the back episodes, of course, if you're just listening here on iTunes. Secondly, the thing that we talk about in applying all of the 8 profit activators are part of the breakthrough DNA process. And you can download a book and a scorecard and watch a video all about the 8 profit activators at breakthroughdna.com. And that's a great place to start the journey in applying this scientific approach to growing your business. That's really the way we think about Breakthrough DNA, as an operating system that you can overlay on your existing business and immediately look for insights there. So that's it for this week. Have a great week, and we will be back next time with another episode of More Cheese, Less Whiskers.